Hi everyone. In this video we are going to look at functions. Now before we can go into how to work with functions, we first need to know what exactly is a function. A function is a relation in which each domain element has exactly one element in the range. Now do you remember what a relation was? We said a relation was a set of coordinates, a set of ordered pairs that were put together in a specific order. And our ordered pairs always gave us the x element, then the y element. Now our domain is all of the x values and our range is all of the y values. When we look at a relation, we can determine whether or not it's a function by looking at all of the x values and making sure that the x value gives only one y value. So any x value can only give one y value, then it is a function. If you get two y values out of it, then it is not a function. So no two ordered pairs have got the same x value. In other words, the x value does not repeat. Let's look at it with a picture diagram. So in our first image here, we've got our function diagram and we've got an input that will be our x and our output is going to be our y value. Now, when we have a function, this is, remember we said that the input is your domain and the output is your range. When we've got a function, we've got an input and we've got a singular output. There's only one output. When we've got two outputs, then it is not a function. And this is important to remember. How do you determine if a relation is a function? On the screen, I am presenting you with two different mappings. You need to be able to look at a mapping and tell me, is it a function or is it not a function? And this is how you do it. On the first mapping, I'm going to look at my x values and I see that this one's got two arrows. This has got one, this has got one. This means that if I have an x value of -4, I get two answers, 2 and 3. And according to my definition, my x cannot give me two outputs. Therefore, this is not a function. If I look at the second mapping, I see that I have got 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows from the x values and two of the arrows goes to the same y. Does this mean it's not a function? No, the y can repeat. You can have two x values going to the same y. That is acceptable as long as there's only one arrow from each number. Therefore, this is a function. And that makes it very easy, right? So if you've got two arrows from an x, it's not a function. If you've got only one arrow from the x's, then it is a function. How do you determine if a relation is a function? By looking at the ordered pairs. So in this instance, I'm going to look at my x values. So here I've got the number 3 for the first time, and I got the number 3 for the second time. I've got the number 2 for the first time and the number 1 for the first time. Because this 3 is repeated, this is not a function because x cannot repeat. Let's look at our second example. I've got 4, I've got 2 and 6. None of my x's repeat, therefore this is a function. Really straightforward. Let's look at our tables. On the tables, I'm going to look at my x values and I'm going to look, is there any x value that repeats? 0, 4, 8, 12, 16. No repeats. This is a function. If I look at the second one, I've got 3 minus 6, 4 minus 6. Minus 6 and minus 6 repeat. Therefore, this is not a function. When we look at a graph, how do we determine if it is a function or not? Well, this is easy to do when you're using a ruler. I don't have a ruler on the screen. But what you do is you're going to place your ruler on your graph in the vertical line test. And what the vertical line test says, it moves from side to side according to the x values, and if there are two dots on the same vertical line, then it is not a function. So on this one I've got one dot, on this one I've got one dot, on this one I've got two dots. There's one there and there's one there. Therefore this is not a function. In the same way over here, I've got one dot, one dot, one dot, one dot, one dot, one dot. This is a function. Let's review. When we're looking at a mapping, we say that there cannot be two arrows. A function has only one arrow. When we look at the coordinates, the x is not repeated. A function has got no repeated x's. If you're looking at a table, the x cannot repeat. No repeated x's. And if you're looking at the graph, you cannot have two dots on the same x value, so the x cannot repeat. Now we're going to do some guided practice. In the guided practice, you are going to look at the problem, attempt the problem on your own, and then come back and see the answers. On this page, they want us to write a formula for each set of instructions. So they're going to give us a word sum, and we need to write a mathematical equation. Our first one tells us to add 4. So I'm going to start with add 4. Add means plus. To what do I add it? To the input number. So x goes in the front. Then subtract the answer. The answer will go in brackets. So this whole thing I must subtract. From means goes in the front. I subtract from in the front 50. And that gives the output. Output is y. And that's my answer for the first equation, or the first number sentence. Our second one tells me to multiply the input number by 3. So I can write 3 times x, or 3x. Then subtract the answer. So the answer of this I must subtract from 15. 15 minus 3x gives me the answer y. Okay, let's look at the next one. Here they are giving us a pictorial representation of what we must do. So let's go through this. A says, remember that we're starting with x. That's our input. So we're going to say x times 3 plus 17. Now, it is important for us to remember BODMAS. BODMAS says that the order of operations means that we have to do brackets of exponents for BODMAS, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So if I read this from left to right, I have multiplication first and then addition. So this is correct. It equals y. Okay, let's look at B. B says x plus 5 times 3 plus 2 equals y. And order of operations, if I did BODMAS, then I would have to do multiplication first. So in order to make this correct according to what they are asking me to do, I'm going to put my addition in brackets. X plus 5 in brackets multiplied by 3 and then plus 2. So this is the reason why we put brackets there is because of BODMAS. The third thing is question C, says x minus 2. I'm going to put that in brackets because subtraction comes after multiplication, and I've multiplied by 3 at there, and then add 23 equals y. Another way to write C would be to write 3 open bracket x minus 2 plus 23 equals y. Okay, so those are your guided questions. Oh, we've got some more. Question D, pause the video, try this on your own, and then you can come back and check the answers for me. Alright, so there's your answers for D, E, and F. Notice that I wrote each one twice. The first one I wrote exactly what was said in the equation, and the second one I reorganized it to be easier to read. Both of them are correct. Thank you very much.